Now, speaking of the DH position, there was another transaction that involved the designated hitter, and that would be Pete Alonso returning to the lineup yesterday. But in the corresponding move, they did option prospect Mark Vientos to AAA Syracuse. Since his call-up in mid-May, Vientos has had just 49 plate appearances with scattered starts at DH, first base, and third base. Mets manager Buck Showalter said that Vientos needs more ABs down there, and if it's meant to be, it will happen. Billy Martin told me a long time ago, you can't mess up the good ones. Deep breath. Okay. Andrew.
I mean, where do you want to start? I mean,
wherever it takes you. Just wherever it takes you.
Oh, okay. So Buck Show, again, the leader of men that is our manager. This great quote today. I feel bad for, well, I forgot, Ventos not playing every day is bad for his mental ability, or just his ability in general. No fucking shit. The fact that you had him sitting on the bench, just, you called him up. Then, again, he's not Beatty, he's not Alvarez, where he needed to be, once he gets called up, in the lineup every day. He's not on that level of prospect where Beatty and Alvarez and Mauricio eventually, hopefully, God forbid that happens, got to be benched for Luis Guillorme. That is the fucking world we live in. Oh my God. But again, he was not on that level of prospect. But the fact that you trot out Daniel Vogelbach at DH, like in the last segment, and the greatest quote is when they called him up, oh, we can't play two third basemen in the same lineup. As soon as I heard that when he called him up, I'm like, yep, this is, Mark's not going to get much reps. And sure as shit. The just annihilation of an asset. Like, again, I'm not a big fan of the guy. I didn't, some were like, oh my God, this is, he's next Pete Alonso. Shut the fuck up. He's not that. Is he a power source? Yeah. Could he be a productive power, Miguel Sano? That's a good comp. Guy's gonna strike out a shit ton, hits a couple of homers. But that's what he is. He's not this generational guy. But the fact that this organization, Tommy Pham when he was sucking, Dan Vogelbach, Darren Ruff in spring training, have put all of these below average, bum ass jabronis ahead of this guy. Not just, all right, kid, you get 2 weeks. They didn't even give him a week. But think just 2 weeks, say, hey, you're playing every day, sink or swim. They didn't even do that. They said, play today. You're going to sit for like 9 days. You'll play tomorrow. You'll play back-to-back games against two lefties. And again, this great front office and management staff thinking, if we were supposed to be a buyer at the deadline, how power hitting upside bat, somebody would find interest in that. If he's hitting 40 nukes, Chandler Redmond in Springfield, he's interesting because he's got 20 homers right now in Double-A. That's an interesting, intriguing option. And instead of just showing the asset, and again, when you play him in the big leagues, kind of expose that he's not that great of a hitter. And again, with Brett and, a first baseman locked up, not give the kid the shot and say, you know what, if he's good, we're going to run with him. But also not thinking about, hey, if we were competitive at the deadline, we want to make a trade. We're not trading Brett. We're not trading Alvarez. We're not trading Ronnie. Probably trade a Parada yet. So this probably would have been the trade chip. You've already killed all the value he had before. He had all the value in the world when every day it seemed like he had a AAA homer. 2-run double, 3-run homer, moonshots. Now MLB teams see him as like, Buck Showalter, manager of the year, manager. Oh, he didn't trust him. He's not that good. He was rotting away on the bench. So again, not only have you stunted his growth, but absolutely just killed his trade value for future assets. And not looking, again, worrying about today, not worrying about tomorrow. Just the story of this team going, we're going to push it all in with a bunch of dinosaurs and seeing what happens. You notice what? Dinosaurs went extinct.
Yeah, I mean, I've complained about the way they've handled Vientos time in and time again, but just the way they continue to do it. I mean, since the beginning, the team was struggling offensively last year at the end of the season, particularly against left-handed pitching, because Daniel Vogelback can't play against lefties to add just to tackle on him a little more. He's very, like we said, one-dimensional. Darren Ruff was getting the job done. So they had to call Mark Vientos, who was raking in the minor leagues, and a bunch of home runs. Like, oh, everyone's saying we should call him up. We should call him up. They call him up. He wasn't ready. He only played for a little bit of time, didn't do well. Okay, so he starts the end of the minor leagues, once again, hitting a ton of home runs. And this team needs home runs. And everyone's like, call him up. We need that power. They call him up, and again, he doesn't get to play. So what's going to happen now is he's back in the minors again. He's going to hit a ton of home runs again. And this lineup that the Mets have right now is going to continue to not hit home runs. And you know what's going to happen? He's going to be right back. Like, even though they sent him down, he'll be back soon. I mean, because Vogelback, don't get fooled by the one good at-bat that he had. He's not going to all of a sudden become this big-time productive bat. I mean, we've seen what he is in a Mets uniform. And what bothers me is just that, like, the team we know could use a little more power outside of Pete Alonso, and it's just not going to happen with the guys that they have on the roster right now. McNeil is not going to become a power bat. Nimmo, we've seen some spurts lately. He's been doing all right. Marte, it's not going to happen. I mean, we just have so many we have so many guys in here that you know what they are. They're not big-time home run hitters. Vientos, at least there's a possibility. At least there's a chance that he could be a productive power bat for you. And it's like you had every opportunity to play him, particularly when Pete Alonso got hurt. When that happened, I said the guy I'm watching is Mark Vientos. He has a chance to play every day, whether it's at first or DH. He at least has the perfect opportunity to be in line every single day. But instead, they gave it to Canna. And it's like, what? I mean, how is Vientos ever going to play on this team? And that's why I was always so frustrated, because I said, if you have Beatty, who's going to be your third baseman, and if not Beatty, maybe Ronnie's your third baseman, why don't you just trade Vientos? You know, if he doesn't have a role on your team, trade him for someone who does fit your team better, whether it's an outfielder, whether it's more young pitching, starter or reliever, fine. But it's like the way that we talk about just bad asset management, they've done everything wrong that you possibly could when it comes to handling Vientos. And it's just so frustrating because they continue to do it. He's going to be right back because this team is going to still struggle to hit home runs outside of the guys that we talk about. You know, Alonso's going to do it. Alvarez is going to do it. Lindor every now and then. Other than that, no one else is going to do it. So, I mean, it's just, how else is it supposed to happen? So, I just don't understand what their plan is with him. And it's like, if he didn't play before, I mean, how is he ever going to play? I mean, I just like, I don't understand why Vogelback has gotten so many more opportunities than Vientos. Like we said before, what has Vogelback shown to you that he's proven that he deserves so much more playing time than Mark Vientos, and that consistent playing time? But besides his weight, he just doesn't have anything going for him. So I've just been very frustrated because it's something that we kind of saw coming, but it's just like we're going to be in the same problem a third time where we're going to be like, wow, this Vientos guy in the minor leagues hit a lot of home runs. We could use that.
Speaking of hitting the ball pretty hard, Mark Vientos, if you put the qualifying plate appearances of what he got, which is 49, 7th in all of Major League Baseball in exit velocity. He's had some trouble lifting the ball. You know what really helps that? Playing him. It's a crazy concept, I know. At this point, from what we've seen in the last few weeks since he's been called up, this was the right decision. Have him play every day. This is stupid. Am I upset that he wasn't played? What? Absolutely. Every single time this guy got a hit, they benched him the next day. He hit a 115-mile-an-hour piss missile nuke off of one of the best fastballs in baseball against Garrett Cole. Benched the next day. Daniel Vogelbach needs a fat boy mental break. Still benched. They did everything in their power to bench this guy. They put Mark Canna at first base just to bench this guy. They put Eduardo Escobar in the lineup against lefties, even though we're kind of told that Mark Vientos should be the guy against lefties. He's shown the best quality of contact of all of our prospects overall, struggling, and he's not getting the results because he's not playing. I've said this already. I don't know if he's a good major league player because he's not playing. He isn't playing baseball games. It's just ridiculous. The fact that we didn't see this guy at all, and the alternative shouldn't even be considered because they've been so bad. The ones who play like shit, who are veterans, get the long leash. The young guy shows a little bit of promise. You've done too much, kid. Sit down. Constantly shows that this team is so hung up and have such a massive ego that they want their old guy moves, which are all old guy moves, like I said earlier, to work. Guess what? They're not fucking working, and they're playing worse and worse and worse. You have no youth on this team. You have absolutely no youth on this team, and you sent another one of them down. And I don't even want to clamor for Ronnie Mauricio anymore, to be honest. I don't even want to see him this year. I don't even want to see him in the major leagues anymore, to be honest, because they're not going to play him. Why would you just have the guy sit on the bench? Just sit there for no fucking reason. Have as many appearances in the game as the bench coach. Why would you have the guy up here? What's the fucking point of that? I don't want to see Ronnie Mauricio up here. I don't trust them with their process. I don't trust them with anything whatsoever. It continues to be the wrong move. They continue to make the wrong move 99 times out of 100. I'm glad that he's in AAA now because he's not playing. He wasn't playing. What was the fucking point? I mean, what was the point? And we all know they're not going to give up on Daniel Vogelbach because they gave him a full-on mental seance or whatever the fuck they did. Strong when they have 4 prospects right now that could contribute at the major league level. And when they were in there in that limited time, they did. They did contribute. They did well. They impacted this team fairly well. I don't know, maybe it's just Epler having so much of a claiming puddle of all of his moves and wanting it to work so much, or Buck is just full on senile and thinks old people are all good because he just quoted Billy Martin. So you don't want to mess up the good ones? I'm sorry, Buck. Do you realize that? Do you think that there's no fans? There's no Mets fans that exist that don't hear what you're saying? You don't want to mess up the good ones. You just did. You're doing it. He needs more ABs. Play him! I don't get it. I never will.